Have you ever looked at your sad little fruit tree, then glanced over at your neighbor's, which is just overflowing with apples, and wondered, why am I doing wrong? Well, I'm here to tell you it is not magic, and it's not some secret green thumb. It's science. And today, we're going to break down that science step by step and show you how to turn your tree into an absolute powerhouse. Really, it all boils down to this one simple question, right? Why does one tree flourish and another one fail? It's all about understanding the systems that make a tree tick. And that's what this explainer is all about. We're going to give you the keys to mastering those systems. So we've broken it down into 5 key stages. First, we'll build the perfect foundation. Then, we'll talk about fueling the tree for actual fruit production. After that, we'll solve the pollination puzzle. This is a big one. Then comes the art of thinning, which might surprise you. And finally, we'll get into pruning for health. Let's dive in. All right, first things first, the foundation. Long before you're even dreaming about that first harvest, the choices you make right at the beginning, where you plant and how you plant, that's going to determine like 80% of your tree's success down the road. Getting this part right is absolutely non-negotiable. I want you to think of your soil's pH as a master key. Seriously, you could have the most amazing, nutrient-rich soil in the world, but if the pH is wrong, all those nutrients are chemically locked up. It's like your tree is sitting at a 5-star buffet, but its hands are tied behind its back. It can't eat a thing. And this is the magic number. You're aiming for a pH somewhere between 6.0 and 7.5. You have to get a soil test, because if you're outside this range and you start throwing fertilizer down, you are literally just wasting your money. The first, last, and only thing you should do at that point is fix the pH. So, beyond pH, there are a few other must-haves. Your tree needs sun, at least half a day of it to make energy. Its roots need to breathe, so no standing water. If you get the planting depth wrong or crowd your trees too close together, you're basically just rolling out the welcome mat for disease later on. Okay, foundation is set. Now it's time to fuel the engine. But listen, this is not about just dumping a bag of fertilizer and spraying it with a hose. No way. This is a delicate balancing act. It's all about precision. This brings us to something I call the vigorous growth paradox. It's a huge trap that so many gardeners fall into. Your gut tells you to feed that tree as much as possible, right? Make it grow big and fast. But that is one of the worst mistakes you can possibly make. And here's exactly why. Look at the right side. That's a tree on way too much nitrogen. It gets this powerful message from its hormones to just grow leaves, leaves, and more leaves, not fruit. And all that soft leafy growth, it's basically a giant neon sign for pests that says, "Come eat me." But on the left, with that balanced optimal growth, the tree is strong, it's tough, and it's hormonally ready to make flowers and fruit. Now let's talk water, because this is wild. A little baby tree doesn't need much. But once a tree is mature and starts producing fruit, it gets incredibly thirsty. I mean, just look at how these numbers explode. A tree with a 10-foot canopy needs 50 gallons a week. A 15-foot tree, 100 gallons. One of the main reasons people get small, crummy fruit is that they're just not giving their mature trees enough to drink. Okay, so you've done everything right. Your tree is in the perfect spot, it's fed just right, spring comes, and it's covered in gorgeous blossoms. And then, nothing. No fruit. What is going on? Well, 9 times out of 10, the culprit is a breakdown in pollination. And one of the sneakiest reasons for this failure is a special kind of tree called a triploid. The famous Bramley seedling apple is one of these. These trees are amazing fruit producers, but their pollen, it's sterile. It doesn't work. It can't pollinate itself, and it can't pollinate any other tree in your yard. Genetically, it's a total dead end. So if you plant one of these fantastic but pollen-sterile trees, how many other trees do you need just to get fruit from it? The answer is 3. I know, it sounds nuts, right? But there's a very specific logic to it. Let me show you. Okay, here's how the 3-tree solution works. You have your triploid, tree number 1. It needs pollen, so you plant tree number 2, a compatible pollinizer. Great, but wait a minute. Tree number 2 also needs to be pollinated, and your triploid's pollen is useless. So you need a 3rd tree, pollinator B, to pollinate pollinator A. Now, because A and B both have good pollen, they can pollinate each other, and A can pollinate your triploid. Boom! As long as they all bloom around the same time, you've created a complete pollination system. All right, this next idea is going to feel totally wrong. It's going to go against every instinct you have as a gardener. We're going to talk about why you need to walk up to your tree and pull off perfectly healthy, good-looking little baby fruits. It's not sabotage, I promise. It is a critical investment in your tree's future. The whole reason we do this is to break a frustrating cycle called biennial bearing. You've probably seen this. It's when a tree just completely exhausts itself making a monster crop one year, and then the next year, crickets. Nothing. It's totally burned out. And this isn't random. It's driven by a powerful hormonal feedback loop. And this timeline, this is everything. A tree makes the decision about next year's flowers right in the middle of this summer. If, at that moment, it's struggling under the weight of a gigantic crop, its hormones basically scream emergency. We have no energy to spare, and it forms 0 flower buds for next season. You have to step in and thin the fruit in that critical window before mid-July to break that hormonal cycle. And look at the payoff for this. You get a great crop every single year. You stop branches from snapping under the weight, and all the fruit you leave on the tree gets way bigger and tastes so much better. And get this, for a tree to have what we'd call a full, heavy harvest, it only needs about 7 or 8% of its flowers to actually turn into mature fruit. That's it. Last but not least, let's talk about pruning. And no, this is not just about giving the tree a haircut to make it look tidy. This is the art and science of managing the single most important resource your tree has for making fruit: sunlight. Let's be really clear about this. The #1 reason you prune a mature fruit tree is to manage light. You have to open up the structure so that sunlight can get deep inside the canopy. Why? Because fruit buds only form where they can get direct sun. If the inside of your tree is a dark, tangled mess, you're only going to get fruit way out on the tips. Proper pruning turns the entire tree, top to bottom, into a fruit-producing machine. Now, what's so fascinating is that the tree reacts completely differently depending on when you prune. If you prune in the late winter, when it's dormant, it's like giving the tree a shot of adrenaline. It responds with a burst of strong, new growth. But if you prune in the summer, you get the exact opposite effect. You're removing leaves, which are its solar panels, and that slows the tree down. It's the perfect way to get an overly energetic tree back under control. And that really brings us to the big takeaway here. All of these systems, the soil, the nutrition, the pollination, the structure, they are all connected. A failure in one system will always create a weakness in another. For instance, you over-fertilize, which is a nutrition failure, right? Well, that creates weak growth that attracts aphids, which is a pest failure. Or you don't prune correctly, a structural failure, which creates a damp, shady environment perfect for fungus, a disease failure. It's all one system. So, I want to leave you with this question to think about. After seeing how all these pieces fit together, you realize you're not just taking care of a plant. You are the architect of a tiny, productive ecosystem. And when you get all those systems in balance, that ecosystem is going to reward you with a perfect harvest, year after year.